In the turquoise depths of the Indonesian archipelago, where God orchestrated an eternal spectacle of fire and water through the millennia-old ballet of tectonic plates, exists an underwater kingdom that transcends all human capacity to comprehend the magnitude of divine creation. The marine regions of Sulawesi, positioned precisely in the pulsating heart of the coral triangle between 1 and 11 degrees south latitude and between 119 and 125 degrees east longitude, reveal the Creator's signature in every wave, in every current, in every form of life that inhabits this oceanic sanctuary. Here, where three colossal ocean currents meet in a turbulent embrace orchestrated by divine wisdom, we witness the most diverse marine ecosystem that God sculpted on the face of the earth. A true underwater Garden of Eden, where every square inch of reef harbors living miracles that defy scientific classification and proclaim the glory of the Creator. This is the sacred pulse of the ocean, the cradle of tropical marine life, where the hand of God composed the most extraordinary symphony of impossible colors, unbelievable shapes, and behaviors that seem to have been imagined in celestial dreams. Prepare to dive into waters where the divine and the natural merge in a spectacle of such overwhelming beauty that each creature seems to be a love letter from the Creator to humanity. Each ecological interaction a demonstration of divine engineering that scientists are still striving to decipher 60 million years after its creation. Emerging from rocky crevices like snakes of electric blue silk, the ribbon moray eel undulates its serpentine body across the reefs of Sulawesi in a hypnotic dance of primal elegance. With its slender body reaching up to 130 centimeters in length and only 2 centimeters in thickness, this lithe predator exhibits one of the most extraordinary gender transformations documented in the animal kingdom. All individuals are born cobalt blue males with vibrant yellow jaws, and throughout their lives, they can transform into brilliant golden yellow females or into very rare hermaphroditic specimens that display both colorations simultaneously. Marine scientists have discovered that their expanded tubular nostrils function as sophisticated sensory ornaments, capturing chemical molecules dissolved in the water to track hidden prey at distances exceeding 3 meters. During courtship behavior, males and females intertwine their bodies in complex knots, performing nuptial dances that can last up to 40 minutes before the synchronized release of gametes into ocean currents. The water temperature in this region remains surprisingly stable throughout the year, fluctuating between 26 and 29 degrees Celsius, creating ideal conditions for the development of this species, which is extremely sensitive to temperature variations. The ribbon moray eel inhabits sandy burrows and rocky crevices between 5 and 60 meters deep, where it establishes permanent territories that it can maintain for consecutive years, with only its head and the anterior portion of its body exposed, while the rest remains securely anchored. Its diet consists mainly of small fish and crustaceans, which it captures with explosive ambush movements, leaping from its burrow at speeds exceeding 2 meters per second. Researchers have documented that these predators keep their mouths constantly open, not as a sign of aggression, but as an essential respiratory mechanism, pumping oxygenated water through their gills in a continuous rhythmic motion. In the waters of Sulawesi, where the diversity of rocky and sandy habitats creates perfect microenvironments for this species, ribbon moray eels perpetuate evolutionary lineages that date back more than 50 million years of specialized adaptation. Gliding across the sandy bottom like an extraterrestrial apparition, the eastern flying blunderbuss emerges from the coastal depths of Sulawesi, displaying pectoral fins that unfold like the ornate fans of an Asian emperor. At an impressive 40 centimeters in total length, this extraordinary fish possesses expanded fins that can reach spans exceeding 60 centimeters when fully extended, revealing translucent membranes decorated with patterns of electric blue, emerald green, and crimson red, arranged in geometric mosaics of hypnotic beauty. When threatened by predators, the blunderbuss executes one of the ocean's most spectacular visual defenses. It suddenly opens its gigantic pectoral fins while raising venomous dorsal spines, instantly transforming from an unassuming fish into a menacing sea dragon that can measure up to 90 centimeters from tip to tip of its extended fins. Scientists have discovered that these fish use their fins not only for intimidation, but also as functional wings that allow them to glide over the substrate in short jumps, propelling themselves through explosive bursts of modified pelvic fins that function as biological thrusters. During the breeding season between May and August, males establish territories on the sandy bottom where they excavate ornate circular depressions, performing elaborate displays of opening and closing their pectoral fins in choreographed sequences that attract females from distances exceeding 50 meters through visual signals and low-frequency vibrations transmitted through the substrate. Silently patrolling the reef edges like elongated specters, the trumpet fish glides vertically between gorgonians and branching corals, its tubular body up to 80 centimeters long, perfectly mimicking the dead branches and stems of sessile organisms. This ambush predator, covered in shifting patterns of brown, yellow, and silver spots that can change in seconds to match its surroundings, represents the pinnacle of stealth hunting strategy on the reefs of Sulawesi. Its extremely elongated snout, which constitutes approximately 1/3 of its total body length, functions as a lethal suction tube capable of drawing unsuspecting prey from distances of up to 10 centimeters through explosive expansion of its buccal cavity, creating an instant vacuum. Researchers have documented cooperative hunting behaviors where trumpet fish follow larger predators, such as groupers and moray eels, strategically positioning themselves to capture small fish that flee from the main predator, demonstrating sophisticated levels of social cognition and behavioral opportunism. During hunting approaches, these masters of camouflage can remain completely motionless for periods exceeding 20 minutes, floating vertically or horizontally with such precise hydrodynamic control that not even ocean currents can detect their presence through telltale movements. In the waters of Sulawesi, where the density of small reef fish reaches extraordinary numbers, frequently exceeding 1,000 individuals per 100 square meters, trumpet fish find abundant food that sustains healthy populations of these specialized predators, perpetuating hunting strategies that have evolved over more than 30 million years of evolutionary refinement. In the underwater caves that pierce the limestone cliffs of the eastern coast, the Bangai cardinal fish reveals an evolutionary history of isolation and specialization unparalleled in the animal kingdom. This endemic species, found exclusively in the Bangai Islands off Sulawesi, exhibits one of the most extraordinary forms of parental care documented among marine fish. The males incubate the eggs in their mouths for approximately 19 full days, abstaining entirely from feeding during this entire period of voluntary fasting. At an impressive 7 centimeters in length, these fish display a pattern of vertical black stripes on a silvery background, punctuated by white spots that function as visual signals for intraspecific communication in the dark environments they inhabit. Scientists estimate that the total population of this critically endangered species remains restricted to a geographic area of only 34 kilometers in radius, making it one of the rarest biological gems of the Indonesian archipelago. Navigating through coral gardens like tiny living armored tanks, juvenile yellow boxfish exhibit one of the most dramatic color transformations documented among Sulawesi reef fish. At only 5 centimeters long in their juvenile stage, these perfect cubes of marine life boast a brilliant canary yellow coloration, dotted with electric blue spots arranged in geometric patterns reminiscent of pointillist artwork, creating a visual effect so striking it seems to defy all principles of camouflage and survival. As they mature and can reach up to 45 centimeters in length, they undergo a radical color metamorphosis, becoming bluish-gray with yellow spots, gradually losing the juvenile pattern over months of development. Scientists have discovered that their rigid cubic body shape, resulting from fused hexagonal bony plates that form a virtually impenetrable carapace, provides exceptional protection against predators, but severely limits their mobility, forcing them to swim using undulating fin movements that produce surprisingly efficient propulsion, despite the unfavorable hydrodynamics. When severely threatened, these fish possess a lethal chemical arsenal, secreting ostracotoxin through their skin, a neurotoxin so potent that it can kill all the fish confined in the same aquarium in a matter of minutes, transforming their harmless appearance into a deadly chemical warning. During feeding behaviors, boxfish use jets of water expelled from their mouths to dig up invertebrates buried in the sand, blowing craters in the substrate that can reach up to 15 centimeters in depth as they search for polychaete worms, small mollusks, and hidden crustaceans. In the nutrient-rich waters of Sulawesi, where the abundance of benthic invertebrates sustains thriving populations of this species, boxfish perpetuate unique evolutionary strategies that balance locomotor vulnerability with chemical and physical defenses developed over more than 40 million years. Silently gliding over shallow reefs at depths between 5 and 20 meters, the reef manta ray materializes as an apparition of pure elegance, its triangular wings spanning up to 4.5 meters. These gentle giants, which can weigh up to 1,400 kilograms, perform aquatic ballets of hypnotic grace while filtering large quantities of zooplankton daily through their specialized gills equipped with filter plates that capture tiny organisms with extraordinary efficiency. At the cleaning stations scattered across the reefs of Sulawesi, where cleaner fish remove parasites and dead tissue from their bodies, up to 15 mantas can congregate simultaneously, creating spectacles of social interaction that reveal sophisticated levels of communication and hierarchy still incompletely understood by marine science. Researchers have identified unique patterns of ventral spots on each individual, functioning like fingerprints that allow tracking migratory movements spanning hundreds of kilometers along the coasts of the Coral Triangle. Manta ray aggregation points in Sulawesi coincide precisely with areas of intense updraft activity, where nutrient-rich deep waters rise from the abyssal depths, carrying natural fertilizers that trigger planktonic explosions of extraordinary density. During full moon events, when spring tides reach amplitudes exceeding 2.5 meters, zooplankton concentrations can exceed 5,000 organisms per cubic meter, creating nutrient soups that attract manta rays from distances exceeding 50 kilometers. Underwater observations have documented cooperative feeding behaviors where multiple individuals swim in carousel formations, creating vortices that concentrate prey at even higher densities before traversing the planktonic cloud, with open mouths measuring up to 1 meter and 20 centimeters wide. Pregnant females, identifiable by their visibly distended abdomens, remain in the protected waters of Sulawesi for gestation periods that extend for an impressive 12 to 13 months, giving birth to unique, fully formed pups that measure between 1 meter and 20 centimeters and 1 meter and 50 centimeters at birth. In the cobalt blue waters of this blessed archipelago, where visibility often exceeds 50 meters during the dry season, witnessing the underwater flight of these majestic creatures constitutes an experience that transcends mere scientific observation to reach almost spiritual dimensions of connection with ocean life. In the coral gardens that explode in dazzling polychromy along the reef slopes, the Spanish dancing nudibranch undulates its body edges in movements that fully justify its poetic name. This sea slug, which can reach 40 centimeters in length, making it one of the largest nudibranchs in the world, displays an intense blood-red coloration decorated with undulating white edges that move like the ruffles of a flamenco dancer's dress in full performance. During its nocturnal hunting excursions, this shell-less creature glides across the substrate at astonishing speeds of up to 5 centimeters per minute, leaving chemical trails that communicate information about identity, reproductive status, and territory to conspecifics that will cross the same path hours or days later. When threatened by predators, the Spanish dancing nudibranch detaches itself from the substrate and swims in the water column, executing rhythmic contortions that disorient attackers while displaying its toxicity through warning colors impossible to ignore. The waters of Sulawesi, with stable temperatures and a constant salinity of around 34 parts per thousand, provide ideal conditions for the reproduction of this simultaneous hermaphroditic species, which can act as both male and female during mating encounters that last up to 2 hours. During copulation, two individuals intertwine in complex spirals, simultaneously exchanging spermatophores in a reciprocal fertilization dance that maximizes the reproductive success of both partners. Weeks after mating, long ribbons of pink eggs, containing up to 1 million microscopic embryos and measuring up to 30 centimeters in length, are deposited in spirals on rocks and corals, hatching after only 5 days into planktonic larvae that will drift with the currents for up to 40 days before settling and metamorphosing into juveniles. The Spanish dancer's diet consists exclusively of toxic sponges, which these mollusks not only consume with impunity, but whose toxins they sequester and store in specialized tegumentary glands, recycling other people's poisons as their own chemical arsenal. On new moon nights, when absolute darkness envelops the reefs of Sulawesi, night dives reveal dozens of these crimson dancers gliding over coral landscapes in feeding pilgrimages that perpetuate ecological cycles established millions of years before the first humans walked the earth. Camouflaged among the purple Gorgonian branches that extend perpendicular to the prevailing currents, the Pygmy seahorse reveals itself only to the most trained eyes as one of the most extraordinary marvels of convergent evolution. At a tiny 2 centimeters tall at its maximum, This microscopic hippocampid has developed body tubercles that perfectly mimic the calcareous polyps of its obligate host, making it virtually invisible even at distances of just a few centimeters. Scientists studying populations in Sulawesi have discovered that each pygmy seahorse exhibits coloration and tubercle patterns specific to the Gorgonian species it inhabits, suggesting multiple evolutionary lineages that have specialized in distinct hosts over periods that may exceed 5 million years. During mating rituals that occur during the full moons from June to September, males perform elaborate courtship dances involving transient color changes and body vibrations of ultrasonic frequencies detectable only by specialized equipment. Lurking from the depths of the sandy substrates like subterranean dragons from primordial nightmares, the sand-hunting worm remains buried in vertical tunnels that can extend up to 3 meters below the surface of the ocean floor. This gigantic polychaete, which can reach extraordinary lengths exceeding 3 meters with bodies the diameter of an adult human fist, represents one of the most fearsome and specialized ambush predators in the benthic ecosystems of Sulawesi. Armed with chitinous jaws as sharp as scissor blades that gleam with metallic iridescence under artificial lighting, this nocturnal hunter remains completely hidden in the substrate with only its 5 antenna-like sensory appendages exposed on the surface, detecting chemical and mechanical vibrations produced by unsuspecting approaching prey. When a fish or crustacean passes within 30 centimeters of its burrow, the hunter worm explodes from the substrate in a lightning-fast attack lasting less than 0.2 of a second, projecting the anterior third of its muscular body, while its serrated jaws grip the victim with a force estimated at over 400 newtons. Scientists have discovered that its jaws not only pierce and hold prey, but also inject paralyzing toxins through specialized channels, instantly immobilizing victims that are then dragged to the depths of the burrow, where they will be consumed over hours or days. During reproduction, these worms simultaneously release gametes into the water during mass spawning events synchronized with specific lunar cycles, creating reproductive clouds that can tint the water pinkish in areas of high population density. Researchers have documented that individuals can live for more than 10 years in the same tunnel, continuously expanding their burrows lined with hardened mucus that forms permanent tubular walls in the substrate. In the sandy plains of Sulawesi, where densities of these worms can reach up to 15 individuals per 100 square meters, they play a crucial ecological role as apex predators in the benthic food chain, regulating populations of nocturnal fish and invertebrates through hunting strategies perfected over more than 400 million years of evolution of predatory polychaetes. Patrolling the outer edges of the reefs, where the shallow plateau abruptly meets the oceanic abyss, the whale shark glides majestically like a living constellation, dotted with thousands of white spots against a blue-gray background. This largest fish in contemporary oceans, capable of reaching lengths exceeding 12 meters and weights exceeding 21 tons, filters thousands of liters of water per hour through modified gills equipped with microscopic meshes that retain plankton, small fish, and crustaceans. During the months of March to May, when particularly intense upwelling currents bring nutrients from the abyssal depths of over 1,800 meters, aggregations of up to 20 whale sharks can be observed feeding simultaneously in the waters of Sulawesi, creating spectacles of biodiversity that attract marine scientists from all continents. Each individual displays a unique pattern of spots and stripes that remains constant throughout its life, allowing researchers to document migratory movements spanning entire ocean basins through photo identification techniques. The waters off Sulawesi serve as a critical nursery for juvenile whale sharks, with approximately 80% of observed individuals measuring between 4 and 7 meters in length, indicating an important developmental area for this endangered species. Satellite telemetry studies have revealed that these gentle giants can dive to depths exceeding 1,900 meters in search of deep layers of bioluminescent organisms, tolerating temperature drops from 28 degrees Celsius at the surface to just 4 degrees Celsius in the abyssal depths. During these vertical dives, which can last up to 60 minutes, their hearts slow from 60 to just 6 beats per minute, conserving oxygen through physiological adaptations that still intrigue the scientific community. Despite their colossal mass, whale sharks demonstrate surprising docility, allowing divers to swim within a few meters while they feed vertically in a virtually motionless position. In the crystal-clear waters of Sulawesi, where the convergence of ocean currents creates one of the highest planktonic productivities in the Coral Triangle, these leviathans find sufficient abundance to sustain their monumental energy needs, consuming approximately 12% of their body weight in food daily during periods of intensive feeding. In the tropical kelp forests that unexpectedly thrive in the temperate waters of deep upwellings off the southern coast, the mimic octopus demonstrates transformative capabilities that defy the very definition of animal identity. This master of disguise, measuring approximately 60 centimeters from tentacle tip to tentacle tip, can alter not only its coloration and skin texture, but also its three-dimensional body shape to mimic at least 15 different species of venomous or dangerous marine animals. In a matter of seconds, this cephalopod can transform into a striped sea snake by undulating 6 of its 8 arms while hiding the other 2, then metamorphose into a lionfish by expanding its tentacles into a spiny fan, and subsequently mimic a stingray by flattening its body and gliding close to the sandy substrate. Neurobiologists have discovered that the mimic octopus's brain contains approximately 500 million neurons, with 2/3 of them distributed throughout its arms, allowing each appendage to process sensory information and execute behavioral decisions semi-autonomously. Camouflaged among encrusting sponges and dead corals, like a rock covered in algae that has come to life, the hairy frogfish remains absolutely motionless for hours, awaiting the perfect moment to unleash its lethal attack on unsuspecting prey. With its globular, compressed body measuring up to 22 centimeters in length, this bizarre creature boasts skin completely covered in modified dermis of fleshy filaments that project in all directions like a shaggy beard, creating such a convincing appearance of algae or sponge that even experienced divers often pass within centimeters without detecting its presence. Scientists have discovered that these fish possess one of the fastest attack reflexes documented in the animal kingdom. When prey approaches close enough to its modified lure, called an esca, that dangles seductively above its mouth, the frogfish expands its buccal cavity in less than 6 milliseconds, creating a vacuum so powerful that it completely sucks in victims half the size of its own body. Their coloration varies extraordinarily between individuals, encompassing a full spectrum from bright yellow, vibrant orange, intense red, earthy brown, to absolute black with spots and stripes in unique patterns that function like individual fingerprints. During locomotion, these fish rarely swim conventionally, preferring to walk on the substrate using modified pectoral and pelvic fins that function as small articulated legs, moving in abrupt leaps that cover distances of up to 30 centimeters in sudden bursts. During reproductive behaviors, females release gelatinous masses of eggs that can contain up to 180,000 microscopic embryos joined in floating ribbons up to 1 meter long, creating translucent reproductive veils that drift in the currents for up to a week before larval hatching. In the waters of Sulawesi, where the abundance of small reef fish and wandering crustaceans provides unlimited food resources for these sedentary predators, hairy frogfish perpetuate evolutionary strategies of camouflage and ambush refined over more than 50 million years, representing adaptive perfection of predatory patience transformed into living form. The marine regions of Sulawesi remain a living testament to God's infinite capacity to innovate, create, and gift humanity with beauty on a scale that transcends our imagination. Each creature we explore represents only a single thread in the immensely complex tapestry woven by the Creator, an ecosystem where thousands of species still await scientific description, where each dive reveals previously undocumented wonders that proclaim the divine genius inscribed in every living being. If this cinematic dive into the sacred waters of Sulawesi has deeply touched your soul, awakened your spirit of wonder, and expanded your perception of the absolute magnificence of the oceans God created, honor this spiritual connection by liking, activating the notification bell, and subscribing now to the Marine Sanctuary channel. Your active participation not only directly supports the continued creation of more high-quality educational content, but also amplifies the crucial and urgent message of conservation that these fragile, precious, and absolutely irreplaceable ecosystems desperately need at this critical moment in planetary history. Share this video with friends, family, and all those who need to witness these divine wonders, as each view is another voice crying out for the protection of these oceanic treasures. Together, as conscious guardians of divine creation, we can celebrate with reverence and protect with determination the underwater wonders that make our planet truly alive. ensuring that future generations may also contemplate the glory of God manifested in the blue depths of Sulawesi. May this be just the first of many spiritual dives we will take together through the sacred oceans of our planet.